everybody wants to get united. Like, what we gotta do is meet everybody on 149th Street at the bench.
You guys wanted to learn some advanced techniques, so today I'm going to show you how to flow a letter that shouldn't flow, as well as how to make a letter really explode and stand out from the rest of your name. When you start delving into some more advanced concepts in graffiti, you might end up producing a piece that you like the end result, but one of your letters doesn't quite fit in. And for the love of God, you gotta get this name to flow, you gotta get this whole entire word to work together. When you have a letter, like this K for example, that really stands out and it doesn't flow, we need to go ahead and tether that to other letters. And we need to do this by utilizing the fundamentals. So what tools are we working with here? Well, first things first, obviously we're working with all of graffiti's fundamentals. That's going to be letter structure, negative space management, letter name weight, letter name positioning, and flow. But what fundamentals of these 5 are relevant to what's happening here? Well, negative space management, letter name weight, and letter name positioning are not our immediate concerns right now. That leaves us with flow and letter structure. But what else is at work here? Contrast immediately comes to mind. And contrast can come in the form of many different ways. You can contrast your shapes, you can contrast your colors, you can contrast just about everything. Alright, now that we have that in mind, what are the qualities of flow? So the 2 major methods of flowing in graffiti, if you want more information, I got a video on it here, are going to be line uniformity and similarity, which essentially acts as the glue for graffiti, and then you have letter uniformity and similarity. Letter uniformity and similarity is when you have a specific kind of aesthetic to your letters that is repeated amongst all of the other letters, or at least plenty of the other letters. Now this is not proximity based, so considering all of these different factors that we just laid out, letter structure, flow, contrast, we can begin to learn how exactly to get very differing letters to flow. So what's happening here, what's making this not flow, is the fact that now we have all of this detail and weirdness happening down here that doesn't really occur all too much anywhere else. This creates contrast with the other letters, and because there's that much contrast, this doesn't look like it fits with everything else. So our job is to counter this. We have to compensate for this. And how do we do that? We can take simple motifs like this right here and like this, and we can repeat those in other areas. Say for example, down here in the R, we see a lot of the same kind of wisps happening, and you see it over there as well. We have it again up here on the V, and we even have it again up here. Now keep in mind, because we are talking about advanced concepts, there's many ways to go about doing this. This is not by any means the only method to get something like this to work, but rather instead this is the formula behind how the issue functions. That way you can kind of figure out your own solutions. Because something else that we can do is we can take this in this complete opposite direction, where instead we want something to really stand out. We need it to be the focal point, and we need it to still feel like it's a part of the whole image. The MSK that we have right here in front of us is a great example of this. As you can see, the M and the K flow really well together. They have a lot of the same features applied to both of them. And this is the part where some people might say, well, it's because the M and the K are colored very similarly. And yes, that does play a role because those 2 letters are a little bit more uniform and they don't have as much contrast. As for the S is colored completely differently, which increases its contrast and helps it to stand out. But as you can see, when we make it black and white, you can see that there's more than just the color lending to the contrast. It's also the simplicity of the S that contrasts against the more technical M and the K. So how does he get this to work? He gets this to work by having uniformity elsewhere. Not only does the line work remain the same on the S as it does on the K and the M, but the fill-in is also very similar despite having different colors. You'll notice when we go back to the black and white, you have the darker values on the lower half and the lighter values on the top halves of the letters. This is uniform amongst all 3 of them. Not to mention the fact that the M does a great job flowing directly into the S. But he takes this one step further. And this is by no means a necessity. He utilizes double structures for the M and the K. You'll notice the M structure is dominantly there. However, if you look underneath it, there's another sneaky M structure in green right in here. And the same thing happens with the K. Now you can't always see these structures underneath the purple, but you don't have to. The purple already establishes the letter structure in its entirety. The green is more of an accent that rebuilds a different structure underneath the purple. And And although it's subtle, it goes a long way to help this flow. Which once again, he didn't even have to do that. Like if he got rid of the green M and the green K, the purple M and K would still flow with the S because of the previously mentioned reasons. Now this topic can get a lot more in depth, so we wrote a little bit about it in the article down below. And coming back around full circle, we get right back to this piece, where now that we understand how to make things stand out and how to separate a letter from the entire name while still maintaining a sense of cohesiveness, we can look at this piece from a new perspective, where yes, the different letters do flow with one another, but each letter has its own unique attributes that isn't shared amongst all of them. The R has this really vibrant purple that contrasts against all of the other colors. The E has this very beautiful blue, which I'm a really big fan of. I like the way it turned out. And the V has this vibrant red, while the O has a much more muted approach with its darker purple here on the inside and its black outline. And then the K comes in with a nice deep burgundy color. With something like this, each letter is made to stand out, yet they're positioned close enough to share certain line uniformity and similarity that once again keeps a sense of cohesion. Add on top of that the letter uniformity and similarity that we previously discussed in the beginning of the video, and suddenly you have a name that has a sense of cohesion while each letter stands out as its own. So really in a nutshell, you want to take the chance in order to go ahead and flow wherever you can, utilizing letter uniformity and similarity, line uniformity and similarity in order to create cohesive letter structures. From there, assuming you've built up enough flow, you can sacrifice some of that flow through contrast. And you're going to contrast not only your letter structures the way we saw in plenty of these pieces here, but you'll also contrast things such as lines, color, saturation, value, and the structures overall. That contrast will give you that unique aspect to your letters that you're looking for, allowing for things to stand out while allowing you to maintain some of the flow that you built up previously. That's the name of the game right there. But that pretty much brings us to the end of today's video. If you guys want to find out more about graffiti, you want to learn those fundamentals that we talked about in today's video, check out the best How to Do Graffiti playlist anywhere online, or pick up one of the many books we publish in the description down below. And of course, we have more graffiti content right down here. I'll catch you guys back here next week. As always, thanks for watching.